The legend in the making. Hello everyone and welcome to the podcast. My name is Inathi and today we'll be talking to presenter on Hot FM Studios, Tyrone Paulsen. Do you have anything to say to the audience?
Hey Inathi, how's it going? And thanks for having me on your show.
It's going great. So let's get started with these questions. What are your top 5 songs of 2020 so far?
Of 2020? Wow. Okay, so it's quite weird. It's going to be very, very difficult for me to kind of choose my top 5. But if it has to be top 5, it has to be some. It has to be a couple of local productions, and it'll be a couple of commercial hits, if I've got to put it that way. Obviously, we all know, even though it wasn't really 2020, but it became big in 2020, we've got to say that Jerusalem track is a song that has had everybody go crazy. And no matter where you are, you play it, people go mad for it. So that's got to be one of them. Then one of my favorite productions is Amin Haron's a jam which he simply called Aina, featuring Youngster and Nadia Jafta on it. And the reason why I like that track is just the way the whole production was put together. I think it's quite amazing. And then I can't really then narrow it down to everything else because there's such a lot of good music that's come out. I think this year it's been a year for creativity. I think with everybody just being stuck at home, they came up with some brilliant stuff. So those are just some of the ones that I've been over and all playing. But the one thing that I'm really liking is that from an international point of view, you see quite a bit of female artists coming to the fore, and I'm loving that. And that's so I don't want to break it down and be unfair to a lot of people that I'm missing out to. But those 2 tracks for me has kind of stood out for just what it's been. And then another one has got to be a song which is completely kind of weird, but it was Mark Lottering that composed the song for his show. And it was specifically done for his show, but it ended up going on to radio, and it's a song called It's Complicated, featuring a lady by the name of Salome. So those 3 for me is local songs that just stood out. But there's such a lot of good music, so it'll be unfair to kind of list my top 5.
So my plan this afternoon is to listen to those songs since I have not heard them just yet. So,
really?
Yeah, I don't think I've heard them actually.
We need to talk, man.
I haven't been listening to that much music in lockdown since of school.
Okay.
So on to our next question. Who and what inspired you to start doing music?
Well, if I can put it to you this way, I consider myself not somebody I consider myself just a DJ, literally. That's it. I'm a person who plays somebody else's music, but I also, when I DJ, I kind of play their music in my way to kind of interpret it a little bit different. What inspired me, I won't say there's been just one thing. There's been many things. Growing up on the Cape Flats like I did, I had both parents who were very musical. Dad was a session musician. Mom sang in choirs and played in, was involved in what we called back in the day, like church brigades. So music was always there. So it was always part of my family. Where I lived in Mitchell's Plain, at one point, you had the likes of Jonathan Butler, visiting my dad and the guys next door. You had legends like Robbie Jansen living around the corner from me. So all of those things was around. And then there were the likes of meeting guys like Prophets of the City and the guys from Black Noise and Reddy D and all of those guys was just a big thing for me. And then it was just listening to music every day. I just liked the way it is, and it kind of attracted me to it.
Oh, that's very interesting. Sounds also like a very interesting way to grow up with a lot of music and all that stuff.
Look, growing up on the Cape Flats, and you probably, I don't know about you though, but growing around up where that was literally what we had with us all the time. Growing up on the Cape Flats in a colored community, in an area like Mitchell's Plain and Bonteheuwel and all of that, that was the one thing that everything kind of associated. If you were hanging out with your friends and your family, you were listening to music. If you were alone at home or somebody was in home, the radio was playing, there's music. If you were driving in a car, there's music. So like that's how life kind of was for us. It was literally growing up with just music, all kinds of different types of music, from rock and roll to jazz to pop to hip hop to everything. It was all just fused together. And that's kind of what kind of, I would say, kind of inspired me.
Yeah, so that's a very interesting backstory. The next question is, what is your favorite movie or series, TV show, or any kind of show in lockdown so far?
Okay, so if you know me, and most of my friends know me, that I'm a huge movie head, right? So I've got, for example, just for myself, I have thousands of movies that I have, which is DVDs and a whole bunch of stuff that I bought over the last couple of years. So I can't really narrow it down for you to what's my all-time favorite movie. There's some movies that I'm looking forward to seeing still during this period, which I'm a bit upset that it didn't come out. But I've also been watching quite a bit of TV series. But I've watched a couple that was very interesting. Most interesting for me was something that was on the Apple stream, which is a thing called SEE. SEE. It's an amazing series. It was set in a post-apocalyptic world where everybody in the world, it was a virus that spread, funny enough, like now. This virus spread, and the people that survived the virus all went blind. So now, about 1,000 years, a couple of 100 years maybe later, the world is kind of different. People are all blind, and then things start changing. So it stars, what's that dude who played Aquaman? The big guy that all the girls like, Jason Momoa, he stars in that. And then I literally just watched another one earlier today. Was the final one that I watched, and it's called, I can't remember what it is. Something Road. It's all about magic and fantasy, so I like those type of things.
Yes, same, yeah. So you're into magic and fantasy. So if you can think anything up in your mind, what movies, magic and fantasies come to your head as soon as you think of it?
Magic and fantasy.
Yeah.
Well, if I think, for me, magic and fantasy is Harry Potter, man. That's like this. I'm a huge fan, and it's because my eldest daughter, was a huge fan of Harry Potter. And we watched every single one with her to a point where we got so into it. We even have all the books. Have I read it? No. But I've watched every one of the movies. I've watched all the other spin-offs from it as well. So that's what kind of comes to mind. And yeah, so I'm always randomly quoting Harry Potter stuff like Wingardium Leviosa, those things.
Well, I've read the books, but not seen the movies.
No! What's wrong with you, man? You haven't listened to the songs, watching the movies?
I'm not a huge movie person, okay? When I watch movies, when I watch a movie, every time I always think to the logical. I don't know why, it just happens. I always think to the logical. Like, this car crash looks really bad. He drove at 100 miles per hour. I'm pretty sure he should be dead. But he's not. So I can't really enjoy a movie unless it's logical.
Look, I get it, and I feel the same way. I question everything. I'm one of those people, when I watch movies, I can tell you already before the end who's the actual killer, or who did what. But I like the escapism of it. So I'm a huge movie buff. If you ever come around, you will see I've got, in every single room, there's TVs, there's something that does some sort of streaming. Even in the room that I'm sitting in right now, just off my one side, I've got a screen that's specifically dedicated just for that. Yeah, a little bit of a man cave. Yeah.
So the next question is what do you think started, which DJ mix started off your career? Like the one that really hit off,
DJ mixes, or are you talking about DJs?
Like no, DJ, like mixing and stuff like that, like stuff that you've done that really hit off your career.
So the funny thing for me is that I've always wanted to. I was always interested in radio. Radio's always been my first love. The DJing part was just a secondary thing. When I joined the first commercial radio station many years ago, it became a necessity for me to kind of DJ, and because I had a little bit of a skill, it kind of just took off. What so-called kicked off my career, if I can put it in inverted commas, I don't know. I just like what I do. I just like playing music, and I like connecting with people, and the music allows me to do that. I'm not a conventional DJ like most other people do. Most DJs have got certain skills that they have. Some are able to play and do funny tricks and hand stuff. Some are able to blend 15 different songs at the same time. I can play, mix, and talk and communicate and interact with everybody. So I think that's what kind of sets me apart from other people. But I don't think there's ever been anything that has been that kind of started it for me, but there's been many highlights in my career.
So the final question here would be, how do you feel about this whole 2020 pandemic?
It's been a very tough year. It's been a very tough year for all of us, not just for me, for my family, for friends, and for a lot of people that I know out there, specifically people like us in the entertainment industry. It's been very, very hard. There's been many people that's been without work for many, many months, for the last 9 months. Some people are now only able to get back into work. So it's been very, very tough. However, with all of that said, I do feel that there's been certain things that this year has kind of taught us, that we've been very, very complacent over the last parts of our lives. And we always have to it taught me to think out of the box, how to do different things. For example, I, for many years, have been very interested in doing certain things, for example, from a more creative side. And it's allowed me to expand that whole creativity. With that said, many other people have done exactly the same thing, not just from a creativity side, but they've also gotten to points where they've ended up having to do a career shift or a mind shift. So even though 2020 has been really bad, we've lost many people, loved ones, friends, family, times have changed, things have changed, but it has taught us a lot of little things, that it's the big things really don't matter, it's the little things that really matter. Family, time, and just being there for each other. That's really what's important. So I think even though it's been horrible, but it's also been good, because it's given us that opportunity for not just us, but for us to be able to connect with our own people and friends and family, and even with ourselves. So it's had its ups and it's had its downs.
Yeah, for me, this lockdown has helped me learn a bit more about myself. The fact that I like to play guitar sometimes.
Wow.
Yeah, I have a guitar here at the house. Yeah, I play it sometimes, but I'm not really too good at it.
Come on. It's like somebody told me that no matter what it is that you do, the more you do it and the more you practice and the more you keep on playing it, the better you will get. I mean, I can't play the guitar. I'd love to play the guitar. So in your case, keep on trying. I don't know, can you hear the screaming in the back?
Absolutely, yes.
You can hear the screaming in my back. I've got my kids all playing. They're playing an online thing at the moment, so they're having a blast. So I probably want to go and join them to see if I can beat them. I'm one of those very young at heart dads. I connect with my kids. We play a lot of games. We play a lot of things together. For example, we've got the likes of, we got an Xbox, we got PlayStation, we got Switch, we've got PCs, we've got Apple games. We play everything. So it's fun. My wife gets very annoyed with me, but yeah, that's just about us and me in a nutshell.
Well, that's going to be the end of the podcast. Have anything to say to the audience, the esteemed Tyrone Paulsen?
Okay, firstly, I'm not an esteemed person. I'm just somebody who's been very fortunate to be able to work in a field which has been very rewarding. To many other people that has not had some of the longevity like I have. I won't say success, but it's been longevity. I enjoy what I do. So I won't say I'm an esteemed. I'm just fortunate to be able to still be around. But I can say to people out there is that This year has taught us all one thing, and that is that we've got to also believe in ourselves, and we've got to keep working hard, and we've got to do what we need to do to get around. But to be not just good to yourself, but also to everybody around you. So, yeah, man, just the people that's close to you, keep them close, and try and just enjoy life. Don't sweat the big things. Don't sweat the little things. Just go with the flow. Like I always say, just be lekker.
Well, thanks for those wise words. Thank you all, and I'll see you next time.
The legend in the making.